Well, hey everybody, welcome to our Monday night masterclass. If you don't know who I am, I'm Emily Roberts, and I want to kind of keep building on what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about business builders and creating business builders, and it starts with your personal mindset because this business is 80% mindset, 20% skill set, and we don't get into action when we're living with self-doubt and fear, and we are so attached emotionally to the outcome versus just, what did I do last week? I think I clapped at you guys. I was like, do your job. I think that's what I did. So we got to do our job and focus on where do business builders come from? They're created, and it's because we believe in what we offer people and because of a process. So I'm going to walk you through that process tonight of what it looks like. And some expectations around creating a business builder, because it does take work. So for those of you that think that Jen Hawkins just happened to sign up Celeste Gwynn on a whim, no, it was over like an 18-month process. Celeste actually sent her over 20 referrals and told her no for 18 months until Celeste sat down with her husband and her dad and was like, y'all are businessmen. Y'all are business minded. Is this something that I should really be looking at? I feel like there's something really great here. I'm definitely getting referrals. So like, what should I do? And they sat down, they looked at the comp plan, and they decided to get into action and leverage the influence that she had in her community and talk to people about gut health and this type of business model. And so creating business builders is a process. And for those of you that are ready to grow your business by 100 points, that looks like 17 new people in a calendar month. And not all 17 have to come from you, but the meat and potatoes of your points are in your first 3 levels. So that looks like your level 1s, your level 2s, and your level 3s. So if you can create duplication, if you can create the majority of your points in those first 3 levels by creating business builders, because they're not found, by doing that, you can grow 100 points in the next 30 calendar days by this process. So if you're just joining us, we are doing part 2 of creating business builders, and it is 80% mindset and 20% skill set. This is the skill set portion. So let's buckle up for part 2. If you're a note taker, overall, it's going to be 8 talking points. So I'm going to give you that list first, and then we're going to kind of go through those 8 talking points. So if you're taking notes, you're going to want to write these down. So number 1 is always share about the business. You offer that to everyone. Number 2 is expect to overcome objections. Number 3 is talk less, listen more. Number 4 is engage in personalized follow-up process. We'll talk about that at the end. Engage in a personalized follow-up process. Okay. Number 5, cast vision for what is possible. Number 6, don't just puke Plexus products or puke the Plexus business opportunity. Number 7, do not emotionally attach yourself to their outcome. So yes, they're all in with you, or no, they just don't see themselves doing this. Just don't emotionally attach yourself to the outcome. And last, number 8 is don't believe the objections they give you. That's probably my favorite one. So let's dive in, shall we? And of course, we're going to go over all of those again. So we'll revisit that if you didn't take notes. If you did take notes and you typed those out, go ahead and put them in the chat for somebody. Okay. So first things first, we talked about sharing the opportunity with every single person we sign up. I've said this to y'all for quite some time now. I don't know if Vanessa's on. If she is, I don't know. I don't see her. If she is, she's such a great example of this because she's had a season of doubt. She just stepped into a new season of motherhood, which looks amazing on her, but she will enroll someone. And has anybody, have you ever enrolled someone and just like put them in a box? Like you're going to be a happy customer. Okay. Have you ever done that to somebody? I did that to Hannah. I see Hannah is on. I did that to Hannah for a really long time. I had no idea she had any intention of doing this business because I didn't ask her. She was loving the product. So, don't fix what's broke or not broken, right? That's the quote. Like, Hannah was happy. So why would I offer her the business and ruin that? Like, that was my mindset back then, 8 years ago. And so here's the thing. When you offer the business in your onboarding process, expect objections. Not everyone sees themselves doing this, but they can do this. Okay. So, for example, common objections are too busy, too broke, too skeptical, or maybe they just have a million questions. And sometimes when they have a million questions, sometimes you just don't want to answer them, right? Or you don't feel like you have the answers. Some of you just feel like you don't have the energy to answer them. So for those of you that are sitting there wishing and waiting for your next business builder or your next level 1 to go diamond, it can be a process and we have to be patient. Okay. Some people need clarity. They need more answers. I wish Megan was on because she's a great example of that. She asked me questions for months. And in my back of my brain, just being human and just loving what I do, I'm just thinking, dadgummit, would you just sign up already? Like, what's with the questions? I've answered them all. But she just wanted to make sure I was truthful. She was checking every answer I gave her. And then she would also write it down because that's how she learned, by asking questions, hearing it, and then writing it down. And so I didn't know that. She sought clarity that way. Another thing is just breathe. When you go to present the business to someone, be patient and just woosah, right? Because we get nervous. Our adrenaline kicks in because you love Plexus. You're all in. You want to build a business, but they aren't on that level yet, right? Have you ever Anybody like to socially drink? Okay. Have you ever gotten to the bar and your friend's at a level 10? They are feeling themselves. They on the dance floor and there's no song playing. You know what? We all got that one friend and you just got there and you're like, I haven't even had a drink yet and I got to deal with this. Okay. It's kind of like how we are in the Plexus world. We're already drinking the pink drink. We are feeling good. We believe, we love it. And they're completely like Plexus sober. So they have no idea what is in store for them and what is available to them. And so y'all know I love me a good analogy. And that's like, totally not professional analogy, but I think you picking up what I'm putting down. Okay. And then lastly, I want you to think about your own objections. Why did you say no? What held you back? Say that to them. And most importantly, if you get on the phone, you can have these conversations. So many of you have gotten on the phone in the last 7 days from our last Zoom, and it has made a significant difference in how you do business, how you talk to your VIPs, and how many are actually saying yes to this opportunity and to actually working it with you. So when you think of your own objections, you get on the phone, you're talking through with them and you're like, listen, I got 3 kids and a dog and a husband and all my kids are in sports and this and that and this and that. Like, you can sympathize and empathize with them and be like, listen, I thought the same thing, but here's what I found. I clock in for 50 minutes a day to work my Plexus business and then I clock out. That's as much as my brain capacity can handle. And I fit it into nooks and crannies. I listen to podcasts when I'm folding laundry. I follow up with people in voice messenger late at night when my kids are sleeping. Like, that's what works for me. And I know it can work for you too, if you're just willing to give it a try, right? And offering that new perspective is not you arguing with them, but it kind of is. It's just friendly banter, right? But you can also overcome the objection when you offer your perspective. So this actually increases your influence. We talked about that last week on this call about, and when you increase your influence, it builds that trust, it shows off your character. And then they're thinking to themselves like, okay, she really does believe in this business opportunity. She keeps offering me, because most of the time they finally get on the phone with you after a few tries. Most of the time, the first answer they give you is, I don't know, not right now, to this, to that. And then when they do get on the phone with you, you can walk through this process. The second step is focusing on them, not you. When I first started this business and someone was like, I want to do this. And I would just tell them all about my journey and what I did and this and that and this and that. And they just were like, thank you. Like, what do you say to that when someone's just me, not what can this do for you? Okay. So when we focus on them and their needs and their questions, they'll immediately see that you want to understand their actual truth, because sometimes when they give you their objection, it ain't the real objection. I'm too busy. No, you ain't, sister. Let me tell you about busy. Brenda Martin has 11 kids and she's a plexus diamond. Her husband is a plexus diamond. If they have the influence and the capacity they were building their own house when they went diamond. Like, what? Who even does that these days? They do. And it's incredible. And so I like to use real life examples of people in our plexus community, as well as like yourself and where you're at, to help understand what their true objection is. And this is a game of connecting with them versus trying to convince them to do this. How many of you have just kind of been there in that season of like, but if I could just show you, instead of like, I get it. I was skeptical too. I understand. So like, I'm open to being wrong here. Maybe this isn't for you, but like, let's walk through what that might look like, right? Okay. The third thing is casting vision. So where they are now versus where they can be. So there, and then your job as the person trying to enroll them is to see further than them. Most of the time when you are tired, stressed out, and broke, living paycheck to paycheck, where are you looking? You're not looking next week. You're looking day to day. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. I have friends right now that just immediately came to mind that are in that season. And it is our job to see further than them. And that book by Phil M. Jones that I keep referencing because it's the best book ever, it's exactly what to say. One of his magic words in conversations is the word imagine. Our job is to see farther than them. So like, imagine yourself in February 2024, you've helped 25 people start their gut health system. You went fast start gold in our company and showed your community, look at me, I'm doing this thing I never thought I would be doing. You've earned over $1,700. Can you imagine? And then you ask them, how would that feel to have an extra $1,700 for the holidays? How would it feel to tell your husband you just earned a trip for two, all-inclusive trip for like a getaway? How would that feel? Okay. What would an extra amount of whatever money, like when you're on the phone with them and you're talking to them and you're walking through this with them, it's so important to ask questions, right? You're talking less and you're listening more because you ask a question and you shut up and you let them answer. Let them think about it. How would it feel? And then you let them know you're going to benefit from your willingness to share now. And just make it normal for them. People sign up, they do, and then they learn from the processes that they're doing. Because here's why. Here's why. And maybe you're one of these people. People stop dreaming. There's something about turning 27, getting closer to 30, and you stop dreaming because we need help dreaming again. We compare, we're inundated with social media and celebrities and people that we think are better or richer or whatever than us. And we stop dreaming and we lose hope. So people start to accept their lives instead of designing a life that they want to live. And I feel like that's what Plexus offers us here. We can design a life that we want to live by the willingness we have to share or grow or whatever that looks like. Okay. So those are some just like basic things that you need to have in mind when you're wanting to build a business builder. So they say yes. What does that look like? What are your next steps? We call this an onboarding process. It's going to consist of a conversation over the phone, maybe even a Zoom or a FaceTime for those of you with smartphones, setting clear expectations, and then not overwhelming the person that just said yes to you. Okay. So let's walk through that process. So number one, I wrote down the word baby steps. Okay. How many of you have kiddos? I know Hannah just had a baby. Vanessa just had a baby. So a lot of your babies, as they get older, they're going to start taking those first steps. With my firstborn, I was like, jiggling the keys and doing all the things to get him to move and go, go, go. And by the third baby, I'm like bumping her with my hip, like sit down, not yet. Because once they're mobile, what parents, what grandmas, those kids be everywhere. I lost Scarlett under my coffee table like 100 times because she could move so fast and army crawl. And I'd be like, I literally just put her down. And she would go under the coffee table. And so here's the thing about your Plexus business, you guys, baby steps. Babies don't just stand up and start running. They crawl and they stumble and they get carpet burn. And then they stand up and they bump their head on the couch and they bump their head on the coffee table, right? You have to like babyify the living room because it's a war zone, right? So when people are starting their Plexus business, you can't give them 100 steps. You need to give them one step per conversation, and then the action item needs to be completed. Once they've completed the action item, you offer your feedback. Okay, so baby steps, no overwhelm. It looks like this: something with clear focus, and then take action. Like, hey, most people when they get started, they make a Plexus post. This is what that can look like. If you would like my help, I can help you formulate a post. If you would like an example, we have those available, or you can write your post and then tag me when it's up. Once the post is up, once the event is planned, once the phone call is set up, whatever it is that y'all have discussed, then you can suggest, can I give you my feedback? And you praise them for their effort and their willingness to try. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be you because you have more experience, right? But if you set expectations and you let them know, like, this is usually how we do it, and with a picture, here's an example. I can't wait to see what you come up with to tell your story. And you just set those expectations with encouragement. And then what I like to do is ask the question, who do you want to talk to about this? And then why? Instead of make a list of 20 people and use this worksheet and da-da-da-da. I used to do that all the time. And how many people filled out a worksheet? Like 1 out of 100. Nobody has time for a worksheet. But instead you say, are you thinking of 3 people right now that you would share this with, that you would do this with? Who are they? Why? Do you work with them? Do you know their story? Do you know that what they need? Okay. And then lastly, as their sponsor, would you like my help talking to them or getting them into a 15-minute messenger event? Like, would you like my help is the next question. When they respond and they do the action item, they invite them to the event, make the post, make the live, whatever. I can't wait to see it. Tell me so I can offer my feedback. Or in other words, like I said, you celebrate them, and you celebrate them well. You don't need a list of 30 or 100 or what all those people tell you on the internet that you have to do. That's not true. I feel like that's the old way that we used to do things. But there's this acronym, KISS, keep it stupid simple. And I love that because in the back of my mind, if my 9-year-old couldn't sign somebody up in Plexus and then walk them through the first baby steps, I'm not doing this right. And so if you were to ask Sterling, my 9-year-old, how do you sign someone up in Plexus? He would tell you, get them the right products and get on the website and call them. How freaking simple is that from the mouth of a 9-year-old boy that literally has no idea what I do? I asked him, I was like, Sterling, how do you sign somebody up? And he was like, well, they need products. You should probably show them the website, and you should probably call them to help them get their products. And I was just like, not bad, my guy, not bad. So keep it stupid simple. And then you offer feedback on anything that they are willing to try or do. Okay. So let's go back to their objections. When people start to give you objections and you can tell they want to do this business, or maybe you even see the potential in them and you're like, golly, you would be so great at this. You can't believe their objections. You got to offer a new perspective. Sometimes some of you don't have that belief yet or the courage yet. And so someone's like, maybe their objection is, I don't know, give me some objections in the chat, but maybe their objection is, I'm just so tired. I don't have the time, with 3 kids, and maybe you don't have kids and you're like, oh, I can't relate, crap. But my friend Emily has 3 kids. She is home running this and that, and she does this. And I think she's mentioned that she sets a timer, and that's how she gets things done during the day. And so sometimes it's just a fresh perspective to show them what's available to them before they just write it off entirely. I want to give you all this verbiage that's working really well for me when I'm talking to someone, and I feel, because I'm learning to remove my emotions from whatever the answer they give me, I feel like they're going to tell me no. But if I know they might object to me, I'm going to beat them to the objection. Okay. And this is what I would say. You can 100% tell me no, but I need you to know what you are saying no to. And then I would lead with, imagine yourself sharing for the rest of this quarter, the next 90 days, you show up on social media, you post, you get involved as much as possible. And then you earn the Punta Cana trip. You earn over $1,700 in cash for your trip or for Christmas, whatever that looks like. Imagine that. Would you be open-minded to my way of social sharing? Let's get on the phone tomorrow. It takes 30 minutes. I'm just going to walk you through your first steps. That conversation, that literally word for word, what I just said to you, has led to 7 phone calls in the last 72 hours. And I guarantee you, I'm going to have some fast start silvers popping like popcorn. And you guys are too. Do you all have any questions before I continue? Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Sarah, do you have any questions? Yep, I had a feeling. I just asked you to unmute. Did that work? There you go.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was typing it in like a message. Hang on, I have to go to my messages to what I ended on. It said, let's get on the phone tomorrow and talk about what did you say at the end? How did you end it?
I ended it like, let's get on the phone tomorrow and talk about your next 3 steps.
Your next 3 steps. Okay.
I think that if we simplify it to their next 3 steps, just something psychologically about the number 3, like, oh, okay, 3 things. I can do that, and they embrace that versus I can't do it, because if we were just to send them a list of steps in Messenger, that's easy for them to send, the middle finger of Messenger, good old thumbs up. We don't want thumbs up. We want them to reciprocate and respond. And so that is where getting them on the phone, which I feel like you do that a lot with your people. Getting them on the phone is really good. Now, if they aren't answering your phone calls or they don't want to get on the phone, well, then I'm going to send a voice message so that they can hear my enthusiasm and my simple instructions. Got it?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. Okay. So let's keep going. So these business builders that we are creating, not finding, right? Because how many of you have signed somebody up because you're like, she's it. She's the one. She's a diamond. I just know it. And then they're like, they disappear. They do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. And then you're like, butt hurt. And you're like, well, what happened? I thought you was my diamond, right? And what happens is because you're so confident in that person and their potential, you forget to tell them what you see in them. You forget to get on the phone and express like your gratitude. Like, thank you for getting on the phone with me. Thank you for taking a look at this. Are you open to doing this? Are you willing to do this? Or whatever magic words that Phil suggests you start your conversation with. I feel like that is what works so good for me. Do you think a voice message is just as effective? I'm not trying to be lazy, but phone calls normally can't happen till like 9 p.m. here. I think voice messages are very effective. The last phone calls that I've had were like, one was at 4:30 because she got off work at 4 on a Friday. The other one was immediately after that because she got off at 5. So it just kind of depends. And I'm very honest. I'm like, listen, I just picked up my kids from school. You're going to have some background. You're going to have some feedback behind me, but this is what I do. Like those sound like that's the sounds of freedom to me when my kids are here and I get to work and do what I do best. And they appreciate that. But also, Sydney, if you are stuck at work and you can't leave work, ask them, hey, can I call you at 9 p.m. After my kids go to bed, a 15-minute phone call? The more you practice, the quicker your phone calls will be. Hannah, I know you've gotten on the phone with a few people. Do you mind sharing or putting in the chat how long those phone calls were? Were they like an hour, 15 minutes? I'm really curious about that. And then keeping in mind that most of the people that you get on the phone do not see themselves doing this, right? Like exponentially. They're just like, good for you, not for me. Occasionally you'll have someone that's like, heck yeah, I want to go to Punta Cana. Heck yeah, I'm here for the fun. Heck yeah, I want to make the money. But then you explain the process to them or the sales aspect to them, or just like, are you willing to do the work? And they're like, right. And so that's why that keeping it stupid simple, getting on the phone, or if possible, meeting up with them locally, like can totally be done. If you cannot do those things and you're in a season of life where that is not possible, 100% a voice message. Hannah, are you typing or do you want me to unmute you? I just asked you to unmute and see if it'll work.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was typing, but so the first call is usually 30 minutes just to not overwhelm them. The PDF that I used has, which is from Christina, which I love. It probably has 5 or 6 questions in it. And so as soon as they say, yeah, the response to the magic question, then I just go through like, okay, well, you know what? Like kind of the first step is to send a post or make a post and send a few messages. Are you okay with that? How do you feel about that? And then they're cool with it. And I said, okay, great. Well, let's just start there. And then I just typically follow up with the rest of the tasks after the phone call. So usually the first one's like 30 minutes. The rest after that are usually voice messages. It seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. And it's literally that simple. And so for those of you that are like, what is she talking about? I want that. It's in the file section of our team page. It's been there for like a year, but we're now using it and I'm here for it because sometimes you just gotta like, okay, I've evaluated my business. That ain't working for me. What could I do differently? And getting on the phone is something different. And Hannah will tell you all day, it's made a huge difference in her business just in the last week. And so I just absolutely love that for her. So step 1 of the business builder welcome call is make a personal connection. What do you do for a living? How long have you been doing that? Do you like it? Validate that they are going to love their products. They're going to love Plexus. Okay. Step 2, the magic question that Hannah just said is, if you loved your products, would you be telling people about them? Would you be open to talking about them? Would you be open to sharing about them? Are you open-minded to sharing about this on Facebook? You can word it however way. That's the magic question. If they say yes, I'd be sharing, respond with, well, tell me more about that. What would motivate you to want to share? Literally word for word, all of this is in a document in our team page. If they say no, you could respond with, okay, keep in mind, you are using products that it's possible to help cover the cost by signing up 3 people. Oh, sorry. Keep in mind that as you're using these products, it is possible to help cover the cost of them by signing up 3 VIPs with product orders using your referral link. And so immediately you are leading them towards the business. You're letting them know that it's very similar to the styles that they see on Instagram and TikTok of that affiliate marketing. Like, hey, you have a referral link. As you're using your products, document it, invite 3 people to do that with you. And then step 3 of this document walks you through the main objections. I want my own results first. I'm not a salesperson. I don't have time. So those responses are on there. You can go look at that. And then the last step is they say yes, they're open to sharing, which is kind of what we've been talking about tonight, is continue casting that vision. Like, what could a business opportunity with Plexus do for your family? My favorite part of this conversation with Christina, when we talk about the business builder conversations, and she goes, my favorite part of this question is the audible sigh. When you ask someone that question and they have to think about the answer and they're like, oh, well, for me, that would mean, and they make that sound because they're actually starting to dream again because of that question that you asked. Okay. Let me look. Last one is, if they're not open to sharing, then you would start them on a retention system. So excellent customer service, making sure they have a subscription in place. They're loving their products, but you continue to build a relationship with them. You cheer them on for being consistent with their products. As you touch base with them, every time you check in product wise, you're also going to say, hey, keep in mind, because you're loving this so much, you should share about it on social. Oh, did you know if you were like, you still have the opportunity to make $300? Like, you're just sprinkling the business opportunity every time you check in, which in the sales world or statistically, people will say, oh, you got to follow up with someone 8 to 12 times to make the sale. Well, once they say yes and order, and you want to get them to see the possibility of the business, it takes 8 to 10 touches for that too, if they don't immediately say yes. So don't be discouraged. Don't think that, oh, I suck at this, they keep saying no. Well, it's normal for them to say no 10 to 12 times, okay? Until they get that clarity. They understand what it is you're actually offering them, okay? At the end of the day, the process of creating a business builder starts and ends with the word hope. You're creating hope in their life, and you're creating hope in yourself as a leader. Like, it's everything you hoped you could turn this Plexus thing into, and you're doing that. You're stepping into that role. So that's the last word that I wrote down in my notes was it creates hope. Every time you offer the business opportunity to someone, you're creating hope. And I hope that's an affirmation you remember as you go throughout the rest of this week and you are wrapping up this month, that you cast vision. You get an objection and you know how to overcome it. You use those resources in the team page when you're on the phone or you're getting ready to make the conversation or leave the voice message. But sometimes our emotions are so attached, which we learned last week, to just clock in and do our jobs versus emotionally respond. That's why I don't check my phone until 10 a.m. A lot of y'all used to message me all day long and I would just reply immediately. And I've had to be disciplined in the aspect of my phone does not get touched until I set my 50-minute timer. I clock in, I do my job, all emotions left at the door. Like, I'm here to tell people about health and happiness for the next 50 minutes. I'm here to help you see the vision for silver, or I'm help you to grow 100 points, like whatever it is that I'm working on for 50 minutes. My timer dings. I'm going to go fold laundry. I'm going to go work out, like whatever it looks like. But so many of us clock in and we forget to clock out. And then we get to this point of like, oh, I didn't build the business builder. I didn't do that part. I didn't do this. When it's like, okay, reload, right? Like, clock out, get those creativity back, rest, celebrate the things that you did do while you were clocked in, and then you come back for more. That's all I have for part 2 of our mastermind. I will see y'all again next Monday. Thank you so much for getting on. I challenge each of you to come back next Monday with one new VIP, potentially someone that you are working with or is working on silver, because that's going to be the process we dive into is, okay, you're creating a business builder. Now let's get them to silver. Those first 3 action steps, getting to silver and what that looks like. So I will see y'all next week for part 3. Love you, mean it. Bye.